What are your creepy woman stories? At work recently, this lady I was helping, customer service retail, goes, "Your glasses are so cute." And I'm like, "Thank you." Then she goes, "No, not cute. You're not a child." But I better not say what I have in mind. It's inappropriate. Later, I'm ringing up her items, and she's on the phone. "That gorgeous girl I told you about is checking me out." No, not in that way. Although, I wouldn't complain. Very awkward for me. I didn't know what else to do but smile and wish her a nice day. She was someone's long-term girlfriend, and everyone loved the friend she was with, so they tolerated having her around. Pretty quickly after meeting her, I realized her MO. When she met someone new, she'd buy them a couple of drinks and pump them for information. No subject was off limits. She wanted her target to drink a bunch and spill all their secrets. Then she'd turn around and tell everyone else what they said so that if you fell for her ploy, everything you'd ever done was exaggerated and regurgitated for a bunch of other people you'd barely met. It was a pretty weird and creepiest thing to do. As a side note, she hated me because when she started trying to tell me deep dark secrets to others, she discovered I didn't have any. I've always talked openly about my life, even the embarrassing and unflattering parts, so when she tried to tell my stories to our mutual friends, they'd all go, "Oh, yeah, I knew about that." She lost interest in being around me when she realized she wasn't getting anything juicy from me. So, this girl went crazy at me. I was in college at a weeknight party, and I met this cute girl with the same music taste. We talked and flirted for a bit, but she lived a few counties away, and I wasn't super interested in her personality, so I didn't ask for her number or anything. Plus, it was a weeknight, and my roommates and I had to ditch out early because we had class the next day. I told her, "Hey, nice to meet you, but I've got to go home with my friends." And she flipped shit. First, she called me a traitor, because I wanted to leave with my straight friends. She said I was repressing my true feelings towards her because of the ignorant redneck town I lived in. She started screaming and crying at me. I think she was pretty intoxicated, about how she felt chemistry, and I led her on. Then, as if that's not enough, I leave the party, and I'm walking to my friend's car, and she throws a beer can at me. So yeah, that was pretty creepy frightening. A former co-worker was creepy. She would lurk in a doorway staring at you, and when you noticed her, she'd giggle, like a creepy high-pitched horror movie-style giggle, and slowly back away. She did that all the time. And one time, she was commenting on my long hair and asked if it was real. Before I could respond, she pulled on it. I don't even know her thought process because if it were extensions and not naturally grown hair, was she trying to pull one out? I was 11 and outside the store with my dog, waiting for my mom to finish grocery shopping. Across the street was a carnival, and we went there as soon as she was done shopping. I minded my own business when suddenly, a woman was trying to get my attention. She stood at a short distance and showed me different bags of chips, asking me if I wanted some. It seemed so weird to me, so I said, "No thanks, my mom told me to wait right here." She then tried to call my dog, and after a few minutes of me just ignoring her, she came up to me. What she did or was trying to do is still unclear to me. I had no idea what was going on. But she stood behind me, with her body pressed against me, and I don't know, it seemed like she was grabbing me or fishing for the leash or something. I'll never know. I didn't understand then. I don't understand now. It ended a few seconds later when someone from across the street came up and said, "Leave that dog alone." I thought it was weird he said dog instead of girl, but in hindsight, maybe she was doing something to my dog. Anyway, she quickly left me alone, and years later, I'm still wondering. I was helping my dad with hosting a garage sale, mainly to clear out all the junk in our house. While my dad and I were chilling at a table, Among some bargain hunters rummaging through our sale items, an English woman stopped by. As soon as she walked in, she made a beeline for the table I was sitting at and started asking me many personal questions. At first, I thought she was being friendly, but she invited me for tea, but did that weird double eyebrow flash, then left me her number. I don't think I have ever felt so awkward in my entire life. I'm straight, and my dad was sitting right there. In the words of my dad, well, that was interesting. I knew a girl who became fixated on this guy friend of mine. The crush had started sometime before I met either of them. At that point, it had gone on for at least a year. Anyway, this girl would tell new people she met that she was dating this guy, or heavily imply that they had, like, oh, Johnny and I have a complicated history, or I have kind of a will they won't they thing with Johnny, etc. For a while, she was also buying hundreds of dollars in clothing and trying to give it to him, always saying that she'd somehow gotten these new, high-end men's outfits for free. He believed her the first time, then refused after that. She kept offering for a while, though, at one point, she started a blog chronicling her life with Johnny, who in that universe was her husband. She used his real name and photos on the site. He only learned about it when people got in touch with him over something hurtful that internet Johnny had done. Once it came out, people got her to shut it down. When he started dating someone else, she completely disappeared for a while. Then when they broke up, she came back but toned it all down considerably. She still told people that she and Johnny were best friends. Exes had complicated feelings for each other, but it was pretty obvious that wasn't the case once you got to know either of them. We all knew each other through church, so it was hard to tell her to go away, so I guess that compromise worked for the parties involved. Johnny rarely talked about her except to roll his eyes, so I guess he wasn't too threatened. Still, pretty weird stuff. One of my exes, my high school sweetheart, dated a famous nut job. She had also been on a reality show. One week she went on her Facebook, and she talked to me by name to her fans, because she doesn't have real friends, including telling them that I was so jealous of her even though I had broken up with a friend 5 years prior and had dated several people after him, and was also in a LTR at the time. We argued back and forth. I apologized for the sake of my friendship with my ex, and she apologized too. After that, she kept trying to get me to do modeling shoots with her, which I declined because I have no interest in that, plus I'm not into her aesthetic. Then one night, we were out as a group at a bar, and she kept jokingly trying to get me to do a threesome with her and my ex and jokingly trying to get our other friends to film it. Then near the end of the night, she slipped me a napkin when my ex wasn't looking that said, "You intrigued me." I was dropping some things off at a laundromat for a wash and fold laundry service. The cashier's first words to me were, "Wow. That's a lot of laundries." I awkwardly laughed and explained that since my boyfriend and I work full-time, and he's an accountant, and it's current tax season, laundry can pile up. Her response was, "I bet he makes a lot of money." I tried to gloss over it and continue the transaction. She then tells me how she hasn't filed her taxes in years and how her boyfriend will make a lot of money, so she doesn't have to work. At this point, I'm just trying to get our transaction done as quickly as possible. I informed her that I would not pick up the clothes, my boyfriend would pick them up. She replied, "I'm so excited to meet him." 9.24. Fast forward to the next day, my boyfriend comes home with the clothes. He, unfortunately, has the same cashier as I did. He says to her, "Hi, I'm here to pick up some clothes for Jessica. Wake up." The cashier responds, "Oh my gosh, I love her. She's so great. You two are so great together." When I was a teenager, I started crying on a bus one day about dumb school dramas, and this intense woman boxed me into my seat, forcibly held my hand, and started praying at me. She gave off a schizophrenic and intrusive vibe. If I could have climbed out the window, I would have. A girl at uni used to follow my partner around, making googly eyes and literally drooling when talking to him. One of my long-term friends is weird about her child online. She's one of those people who grew up with dreadful parents and decided not to be a dreadful parent but instead a different sort of dreadful parent. Idgaf, how neglected one felt as a kid. There's only a certain amount of calling your only kid, who is pretty much a clone of you appearance-wise, beautiful that you can do before everyone starts feeling uncomfy, particularly as the kid gets older. And the mother of the school bullies at the school my kids used to go to is just weird and creepy, but it isn't an obvious thing. It takes a few years and paying attention to see it, but once seen, it can't be unseen. Like she covered for their sex offender dad a lot, telling the school he wasn't around anymore and had gone interstate when FFS. I can see him out the front of the local pub eating chicken parmy more than half the time. She'd accuse all the kids her kids were giving headless to as the ongoing sources of that infestation. Likewise, her daughters. One of them taught a younger retarded kid to hump the ground for her amusement. She got herself a boyfriend at age 12 and started trying to convince him to assault girls she didn't like. Creepy in that does she want to wear my skin as a dress way. Now she's been kicked out of high school for fighting and bullying all the damn time and is going to be doing a disability caregivers course. I shit you not, this is so effing creepy. A male friend dated a girl for around 3 months in college. It wasn't working, he broke it off, and she proceeded to stalk him for the next 9 to 10 months. She would follow him from home to class, around campus, and then back home. She would text him hundreds of times per day. This went on for months. When she saw him out with another girl several months later, she sent that girl 500 messages on Facebook. It was insane and extremely creepy. This girl didn't bathe or store food properly, like leaving moldy sushi behind, and was just a horrible person all over. She was the friend of a friend who had a crush on one of my friends. She managed to come to our college for a visit and had to sleep on the floor of another friend. Man, his room smelled after she left. Thank God for the guy she was crushing on cut her out after that visit. When I was probably 8 or 9, I went to use a public restroom at some store. When I came out of the stall, a woman who was probably in her 40s came out after me and said, "Doesn't it just feel so great to pee? To just empty your bladder and start over again?" I was so freaked out about it, and it still gives me the heebie-jeebies to this day. There was just something really weird about it. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share and subscribe. The Internet Surfer on YouTube for more horror and scary stories.